Hello witches, and welcome back to Activist Twitch, where we discuss witchcraft and activism. You can call me Isha, my pronouns are she, they, and in today's video we're talking about things that you would expect witches have to do to be witches, and I don't do them, and I'm still a witch, so what? 1. Despite how beautiful the altar tour videos are, I don't have a working altar. You know the altar that every witch is supposed to have, and it has the 4 elements, and sometimes you change it with the seasons. No, I don't have a working altar. I sort of had something along those lines at the very beginning. It wasn't necessarily a static altar. I would make it up every time that I would do a spell, and I would do the spell around it, but it doesn't quite... it's not needed for me. I don't think I need it. I sometimes do spells on the altars of my deities. I have altars. I have my 2 deity altars. Sometimes I do spells on the Venus altar if it's something that has to do with Venusian energy, which is usually about community, people, sometimes prosperity. Or everything else, it's really done on my desk, which is next to my laptop, where most of my work and communication with the world is done through. But I don't have a working altar. I don't feel like I miss that. I already live in a small house that is quite cluttered, so to think that I would need to have a space where just my altar is, and it's always there, is my sacred space. Good for you if you have the space. Good for you if you have something that you can just afford to put aside for that. I can't. And I don't think, I know actually that my spells are no less powerful because of that. I understand why it can be useful for some people to sort of focus, especially at the beginning, the same way that we follow, I don't know, planetary timing. It makes you feel that you're doing something right according to the rules. But that helps because it puts you in the mindset rather than it's more powerful that way, which we could argue then that realistically most of the power in magic comes from your own belief in it. So if you follow certain steps because you feel like they are authoritative enough that if you do them, then you are a more powerful witch, well, guess what? Because you believe that, you are a more powerful witch. It's actually how it works. Most of what we do in magic, it's that inner belief, even on a subconscious level. And if following those steps, like having an altar, casting a circle, following the planetary time, makes you feel like you're doing the thing that a proper witch would do, then it makes you believe that you're more of a proper witch, and that belief affects the power of the things you do. So I think it's important to say, just because a lot of people tend to then just get into the mindset of, I need the objects, I need these, I need that, and externalize the process rather than understanding, oh, no, you follow those external things because they augment your own belief in it, but not because of the objects. That's what everybody means when you see in witchy books or witches saying that, oh, no, the tools can help you, but the magic is in you. That's what they mean. The tools help you in the moment that using a tool, you feel more powerful because of it. It's genuinely not the tool, though. It's your ability to visualize the outcome and believe that it is here. Actually, I mentioned it before, it wasn't Phyllis Crott, it was someone else. I found the quote again and then I lost it again. A witch doesn't believe, a witch knows. When you know that what you are doing in a spell is going to come, that's why it comes. And so everything else is a corollary that is supposed to be there to augment your own belief in it. And when you augment your own belief, you get from belief to knowing. But that's what all that stuff is about. Hence, I don't have a working altar. I like to have the altars for my deities because I am grateful to them, and this space is reserved for them because of that. But I don't have that much space. I couldn't have these altars and then my working altar and then having another altar that changes with the system. No, this is more than enough, and my magic works. I don't need anything else. Speaking of spells, let's stay there. I don't cast circles anymore. I did at the beginning. I was obsessed in trying to understand what's the proper circle casting process. I did the mistake of starting off with the Modern Guide to Witchcraft of Sky Alexander, which is an awful book. Don't trust the book. I think I even mentioned it in a video, how terrible it is and how many mistakes it made me do and put me in danger because of it. So no, because Sky doesn't know about witchcraft, just picks and chooses from here and there, from things that she has heard. So without understanding the different traditions and why things were done, puts you in a position where you're actually leaving yourself vulnerable. Anyway, I think circle casting, it's a Wicca thing, came from Wicca, from the way that it was adapted from what the Golden Dawn used to do, which was the lesser banishing or the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram. They are very similar. A lot of things from the LBRP have been mutuated in what we do for circle casting. And then instead of having that weird mix of ceremonial magic and sort of Christo-Judea magic, which calls the angels and stuff like that, they made it the elements. But that's where it comes from. And again, it's one of those things that gives you structure. And so at the beginning, I really liked that structure. It made me believe that if I was following the rules, then I was doing things properly. That belief, again, is what made things work rather than the thing itself. And admittedly, what I do nowadays when I cast a spell is doing an LBRP. I do have issue talking about that because I am still researching and I am unsure about how much coming from the Golden Dawn and coming from the kind of tradition that also takes from the old grimoires and from Christianity, from Christo-Judean. It's not... there is a zine by Ezra Rose that talks about the use of like the lesser key of Solomon and the way that it takes from Jewish mysticism and from the Kabbalah. And I understand, superficially at the very least, why there's an issue. And then by all means, there can be Wiccans that just tell you, oh, if we start to take away everything that we've taken from somewhere else, we wouldn't have anything. And I'm like, that's a very colonizer way to think of things. What would be bad of that if you make your own thing then, hey? But anyway, I am personally still looking into that. And that's probably why I don't talk much about my personal practice and my personal way to cast spells and to do things. Because I mentioned it before, I mentioned it in my cultural appropriation video. I think that there's a huge difference between profiting from something that does not belong to you and you're not being invited in, and whatever you decide to research in the secret of your bedroom. We cannot stop you doing that. Well, there's a lot of research that I'm doing in the secret of my bedroom. I don't share it because I don't think I am the right person to share that. I don't think that I know enough or that I impart enough of that background to then talk about it. I'm still researching because I'm interested, but it's why I'm not the right person to talk about the LBRP, to talk about Solomonic magic, because there's a lot of conflict there. Like, I was Catholic. I don't think that I'm entitled to that because I'm Catholic, because a lot of the Solomonic magic and pentacles come actually from Christianity, taking from Judaism and mysticism from the Kabbalah and making it their own because there was this Orientalism towards Jewish people. That's not a good start. So I am learning about it because I want to understand how this historical process has gone on. I don't think that I have an entitlement to it. I know that like people just write books about it and you can be absolutely buying them and decide to do with them. I think Sarah Masters, who is also Jewish, talks about it. She has kind of a different vision on it. Like, oh no, the problem is only if you profit of it. Well, I have a YouTube channel. If I talk about it, I might get ad money from it. That's not my place to do. So if you want to learn about that, there are people like Salamastros that can tell you more about Solomonic magic than I could ever do. Am I looking into it? Yes, I'm curious. Would I be the right person to share about it? Nope. I don't do Celtic festivals anymore. So, you know, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Lita, Lunazad, Mabon, Halloween, the Samhain. Oh, what's December one? Solstice. Imbolc. No, Imbolc is, oh my God, I don't even remember the Celtic festivals, let alone following them. Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Lita, Lunazad, Mabon, Samhain, Yule. Yeah, I don't follow that anymore because it's artificially made. Like, it's true that there were festivals throughout the year, again, with Wicca and then the revival of witchcraft and feminism in the 60s and 70s. They tried to put this all together so that every 6 weeks we had a festival. Did ancient Celtic people did they do the 8 festival in their year? No, it's combined, and honestly, it's a bit stressful. Like 6 weeks between, by all means, if you like it, you know, there's people that go to Mass every week. Good for them, if it gives them something. Personally, having the Damocles sword over my head that I have to celebrate every 6 weeks, on top of the work that I do and the practice, it's a bit stressful. I don't adhere to that. It's been Beltane, what, 2-3 days ago? My friend Sophia literally on the 30th of April sent me a message saying, oh, happy pre-Beltane. And I was so out of it that I was just like, wait, whoa, when is it happening? I did not realize that we were on the 30th of April. And then it was like, no, it's not worth stressing yourself over it. You do what you need and what you need for your practice. And again, it's one of those things that I think people think gives them structure and so makes them more legitimate or authentic. And if you need it, by all means, I think in time, when you come confident into your own practice, again, you understand that all that structure is needed for your own knowledge, your own belief that you are a witch. So you take that knowledge wherever you need to take it from, but ultimately is self-belief, is self-knowledge. And I think after a while, you might not need all those external things to validate you. At least for me, it's like that. I don't have a coven. So I know that at the beginning of this channel even, I was talking about this coven chat that I had with some friends. A friend started it. And the reality of it is, people in this chat were mostly friends with the person that started this. So I think we tried at times to come together, even if the original person that started this coven was not there. But it quickly became apparent that we were all revolving around this one person, and this one person did not want the responsibility on them, which I completely understand. So gradually they took a step back and they actually left the chat. And when that happened, it was very easy to see that the people that were there, because they were their friends, it's fine. We don't all have to gel together. What we used to do anyway was meeting for the Sabbaths, so the 8 festivals, and do something about that, which was fine to a degree, and it was fine to meet like that. There was also, some people had no commitment, and some people had too many expectations. And I don't deal well with people putting expectations on me, especially on something that it's a practice, that it's my practice. Like, I'm glad to share to a degree, but the moment that it starts to be pressure, because, oh, if we don't meet every Sabbath, we're not committed. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not committed to this. I'm committed to my own practice, so I'm okay to be on my own. Then I'm realistically not on my own. I am with Raven, and we are a coven of 2. Ha, ha, ha. It was the name of my Etsy shop. So a lot of time, not a lot of times actually, a few times when it's really needed, we do spells together. Most of the time, I still do spells on my own. Like, Raven is supportive, but they don't necessarily do the spells with me. Raven does much more kitchen witchery, for example. Like, every time they cook, and they are the chef in the house, they do a lot of intention in the food and divination through the food. I don't do that. I do other things. So I am very much of a solitary practitioner, and I'm happy for that, because as much as I know that, especially when we talk about like Wicca covens, the way that they manage to raise energy and to do things together, beautiful to hear. There are other issues with Wicca though, and I don't know that I would be comfortable in a context like that. Would I pay the price of having an entire coven putting their energy on something that I care about, when the exchange is ignoring the way that we are derivative and possibly appropriating? No. As an Arab person, as a gay person, as an autistic person, I would not deal well with that. That's not a price that I am ready to pay. So I'm very happy to be a solitary practitioner that can deal with their own choices and the things that they need to respect, even with exchanging and having less power or less energy, because it's just my energy put in it rather than a coven's. And it's fine, and I've accepted that. Last thing that I can think of is that I do not do spells on the full moon anymore. Like, everybody talks about the full moon, and I understand why. It's full moon, you go outside, there's this enchanting light in the sky. Like, I completely understand. I'm in love with the moon. I completely understand why you step out and you see this light in the sky. And 10,000 years ago, you were like, how is that not divinity? I get it. I get it. I still don't think that that's enough for me to do a spell about. I understand that if there is a celebration of the full moon, but taking seriously every time, every month that I need to do a spell because it's the full moon, not quite the way that I think of magic. If anything, I see more power personally in doing a spell on the new moon because it starts a cycle. And so you plant the idea, it blooms at full moon, and then it wanes back in. Like, I understand that more. Doing magic on the full moon because of the full moon, and then the moon is in a different sign every month, like, I don't personally feel called to that. Also, this is one of those things that I did not address or believe before getting into witchcraft, and since getting into witchcraft, paid more attention, and I'm like, I can't explain it, but it's true. Full moon, a lot of sparkling energy that it can be too much very quickly. The idea that we all get a bit hot-headed during the full moon, I think is true. I think that there is a surplus of energy because even just because so much light is reflected back, I don't know, I can't tell you, probably that's why it's magic. Also, like, it's not so much magic as in practically, like, we know that the moon and the full moon affects high tide. When there's the full moon, there's high tide. 2 days after, there's high tide because the tide takes a moment to move. But yes, there's a lot of stuff and therefore energy that is moved, and it can become overwhelming very quickly. It's a lot of energy. Do I, as a witch, know how to properly control and channel that energy? No, I prefer to do things in ways that are more controllable from my end. If you know how to harvest and use the energy of the full moon, good for you. I personally feel that as a human, it's a bit much to handle, let alone to think that I can control it and channel it. So I'm all right with the full moon. I understand that it's beautiful to just stare at, but I don't feel like I need to do magic because of that. Also, you've seen it in the monthly videos now, I work a lot more with planetary timing and magic, and therefore, to me, it's much more important when planets are in their own signs, in their own domicile, in their own exaltation, rather than the signs that the moon go in, which is the reason why in my monthly PDFs and my monthly videos, when we talk about astrological elections, you don't get the moon, because the moon goes around in 28 days. If you want to do a spell with the moon that it's happy, you do a spell when the 2.5 days that the moon is in Cancer every month, because the moon rules Cancer. That's it. But personally, yeah, I don't feel like working with the full moon because it's a lot. It's a lot. And if anything, probably also partially because of my neurodivergence, probably because of my anxiety and PTSD, when energy gets that high, I actually need to take it down. Like, I am on medication that takes anxiety down, so I cannot embrace that kind of energy thinking that it will not have an effect possibly negative on me, so I'm all right. Not saying that you shouldn't do it. If you can handle it, good for you. Do you have to do it to be a witch? No, absolutely not. I'm here and I'm fine. And honestly, what lately has happened made me see that fucking hell if my spells work. Like, beware what you wish for, because magic works with the path of least resistance, and it works. You need to be clear about what you want, about the feeling that you will have when you get what you want. Ooh, that matters. That's probably the only thing that matters, but you need to feel it and you need to sit with it. And a lot of people say that you need to imagine and visualize in detail. By all means, if that helps getting that feeling in your stomach, amazing. Personally, I can get stuck in the ways that then I need that to happen. And, you know, the universe has its own best way. You don't need to give it instruction on a practical level, but you need to give the universe instructions about the way that it will make you feel. And if you can catch that while you do a spell, beware what you wish for. Right, that was it. I hope this was useful. I hope that made you feel validated in your practice, because, again, I understand how structure helps, especially at the beginning. And if it helps you find your own knowledge and belief that you are a witch, that what you do is magic and it happens, by all means. But are those the things that give you power? No, those are the things that by doing them, you awaken your own power, but it's all in you. And until the next video, I really hope that we can hex the patriarchy together, because there's need for it.